All right, welcome back to another how-to video. Today we are going to change the blade seal on a Thetford RV toilet. That's not poop. Don't worry about it. It's just a little bit of like stuff from inside of right there, but it's like all dried up. The RV's been sitting for a while. There's hasn't been any water in there. Um, but here's the blade seal. The black part is the seal that actually goes on the bottom of the toilet where it mates with the floor, but we're just going to be changing the green one right there. And that's the blade seal that keeps the water inside of the toilet. I had a couple RV dealerships tell me that they don't sell it and that you have to replace the whole toilet. Not true. If one of your RV dealerships tells you that, go find it somewhere else. Always make sure to wear gloves when you're doing this, but on the seal itself, there's not going to be a groove. The groove that the seal fits in is actually on the bottom side of the toilet. With one foot, you're just going to hold it open and you're just going to use your hands and try to I used it in a hook fashion, so then that way if I slipped or something happened, it didn't fall into the black tank. You could hold the flap open and you could probably reach something in there to grab it, but I didn't want to risk it. Another thing that I would probably do in the future is maybe tie like a little piece of fishing wire around it, fishing line, and just keep it loose. That way it can still go inside of the groove. Once you're done and it's seated correctly, you can snip the wire and release it. But put your hand in there. You're just going to kind of feel around. You want to make sure that you understand where the groove actually is and how it fits in there without sticking your head in there. You could also use one of those mechanic mirrors to kind of get a picture of the underside. But you're just going to work it into there. And the first mistake that I made was I pushed it too far in. I would recommend getting it seated correctly, but allowing it to hang down just a tad bit. So then that way it actually does push up against the flap and it holds the water in just like that. The first time I did it, it did still allow water to pass through. It didn't leak as fast as the older one did, but it still did leak. This one was actually able to hold water for about 3 days before it was dry again. So I do still have a leak somewhere with the new gasket. I think it just may not be seated correctly. You kind of have to mess with it a little bit. And on the flap, all that particle that you see right there is all just dried up stuff from the past. So you do also need to make sure that that is clean so that the gasket can seat with the flap correctly. But it is that easy. This gasket was only $20, so it's not that bad. And then you have the spare for the floor later on. Thanks.